Apaches by Daniel Jaramillo and Alejandro Gomez. Apaches. They have a traditional life in the nectar of Arizona, northern Mexico, New Mexico, Texas, and southern Colorado. These areas are collectively known as Apacheria. Their homelands consist of a high mountains, shallow and water valleys, deep canyons, deserts, and the southern Great Plains. Some examples of Apache tribes are Apache tribe of Oklahoma, Apache tribe of Arizona, Frost Sea Apache tribe of Oklahoma, Chihuahua Apache Nation Sauvage, Jicarilla Apache Nation New Mexico, religion Native American Church, Christianity traditional, tribal religion. The Apaches tribe fought the invading Spanish and Mexican people of centuries. The first Apache raids on Sonora appear to have taken place during the late 17th century and 19th century. Confrontations during the American Indian War, the USA Army found the Apaches to have been fierce warriors and skillful strategists.
Social organization. All Apache people live in extended family units. They usually live close together, with each nuclear family in separate dwellings. An extended family generally consists of a husband and a wife, their unmarried children, their married daughters, their married daughter's husband, and their married daughter's children. Thus, the extended family is connected through a lineage of women who live together, into which men may enter upon marriage. Several extended families worked together as a local group, which carried out certain ceremonies and economic and military activities. Political control was mostly present at the local group level. Local groups were headed by a chief, a male who had considerable influence over others in the group due to his effectiveness and reputation. The chief was the closest societal role to a leader in Apache cultures. The office was not hereditary, and the position was often filled by members of a different extended families. The chief's leadership was only as strong as he believed it to be. No group member was ever obligated to follow the chief.
Food. Apache people obtain food from four main sources: hunting wild animals, grazing wild plants, growing domestical plants, trading with or raiding neighboring tribes for livestock and agricultural products. Particular types of food eaten by a group depending upon the respective environment.
Hunting. Hunting was done primarily by men, although there were sometimes exceptions depending on animal and culture. Hunting often had elaborate preparations, such as fasting and religious rituals performed by medicine men. Before and after the hunt, for example, in Lipan culture, since deer were protected by mountain spirits, great care was taken in mountain spirit rituals in order to ensure smooth deer hunting. Also, the slaughter of animals must be performed following certain religious guidelines, from prescribing how to cook the animals, what prayers to recite, and proper disposal of bones. The most common hunting weapon before the introduction of European guns was the bow and the arrow. Various hunting strategies were used. Some techniques involving using animal head marks worn as a disguise. Whistles were sometimes used to lure animals closer. Another technique was the relay method, where hunters positioned at various points would chase the prey in turns in order to tire the animals. A similar method involved chasing the prey down steep cliffs.
Clothing. Influenced by the Plain Indians, Western Apaches wore animal hide decorated with seeds, bits of clothing. This beaded design historically resembled that of the being basin Paiute, and is characterized by linear patterning. Apaches' beaded clothing was bordered with narrow band of glass seeds beads in diagonal stripes of alternating colors. They made buckskin shirts, ponchos, skirts, and moccasins and decorated them with colorful beadworks. Trading. In the past, Apaches traded with some of the surrounding tribes for a variety of items. Individual handicrafts are still occasionally traded to local stores or sold to dealers, but for the most part, The economic system of the reservation is part of largest American cash economy.
Conflict with Mexico and the United States. In general, the recently arrived Spanish colonists who settled in villages and Apache bands developed a pattern of interaction over a few centuries. Both raided and traded with each other. Records of the period seem to indicate that relationships depended upon the specific villages and specific bands that were involved with each other. For example, one band might be friend with one village and raid another. When war happened between the two, the Spanish would send troops. After a battle, both sides would sign a treaty and both sides would go home. When the United States went to war against Mexico in 1846, many Apache bands promised to US soldiers safe passage through their lands. When the US claimed former territories, an influx of gold miners into the Santa Rita Mountains led to conflict with the Apache. This period is sometimes called the Apache Wars. United States concept of reservation has not been used by the Spanish, Mexicans or the other Apache neighbors before. Reservations were often badly managed, and bands that had no kinship relationships were forced to live together. No fence existed to keep people in or out. It was not common for a band to be given permission to live for a short period of time. Other times, a band would leave without permission, to raid, return to their homeland to forage, or simply to get away. The military usually had forts nearby. Their job was keeping their various bands of reservations by finding and returning those who left. The reservation policies of the United States produced conflict and war with the various bands who left the reservation for almost another quarter century.
Forced removal. In 1875, United States military forced the removal of an estimated 1,500 Yavapai and Disles Apaches, better known as Tonto Apache, from the Rio Verde Indian Reserve and its several thousand acres of trade lands promised to them by the United States government, at the orders of the Indian Commissioner, L.E.W. USA Army troops made the people, young and old, walk through winter, flooded river, mountain passes and narrow canyons, tried to get to the Indians' agency at San Carlos, 1,100 miles 80 away. The trek resulted in the loss of several hundred lives. The people were held there in internment of 25 years while white settlers took over their land. Only a few hundred ever returned to their lands. Defeat. Most of United States stories of this era report that the final defeat of an Apache band took place when 5,000 USA troops forced Geronimo's group of 30 to 50 men, women, and children the surrender on 4th of September of 1886 at Skeleton Canyon, Arizona. The army sent this band and the Chiricahua Scots who had trekked them to the military confinement in Florida at Fort Pickens and subsequently Fitzsiles, Oklahoma.
Comparison with the Wayuu. When we compare the Apaches with the Wayuu tribe, we can look a lot of difference. Like, for example, Apaches used to hunt their food, while the Wayuu had farms to eat. The Wayuus could have more than one wife. The chief position was hereditary, and the Wayuu lived all in one tent, while the Apaches had one tent for each family. At the end, the Apaches were great explorers and knew perfectly their territory, which they defended bravely.
And thanks for listening. Goodbye.